It's Thursday, September 22. In the headlines, an update on Jamaica Eye. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago discontinues its weekly COVID-19 media briefings. And in sports, Jamaican sprinter Brianna Williams joins Titans Track Club. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang says CCTV cameras have been useful to the police force and plans are being made to set up an additional 300, but it is an expensive feat. He gave an update during Wednesday's post-cabinet press brief. So
we are looking at taking a different approach about it to build out the entire scheme that we would like across the island, but there are areas where there are no cameras. The cameras are up, are working well. It's one of the things we are looking at investing in, but it's not exactly a cheap enterprise.
The CCTV cameras were installed as part of the government's Jamaica Eye program. Dr. Chang says work is being done to sustain and expand what he terms as the backroom to set up an analysis system.
We have acquired a good backroom artificial intelligence we're talking about. We are in the process of setting up a C5, of which construction have started, which is a command center at that level that can accommodate thousands of cameras and provide you with quick response and so forth.
The National Security Minister also responded to a query regarding CCTV cameras in Olympic Gardens, where a fatal shooting occurred recently in the vicinity of the area's police station.
There was some visibility as to where the car in Olympic Gardens went from private cameras, but we are expanding that, and there are cameras to go into Olympic Gardens specifically in a short time. But we are looking at a much wider establishment across the island.
To date, over 850 CCTV cameras have been installed across the main townships of Kingston, Maypen in Clarendon, Mandeville in Manchester, Oterias in St. Anne, Negril, Westmoreland, Montego Bay, St. James, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, and Santa Cruz and Black River in St. Elizabeth. A severe weather alert remains in effect over Jamaica as the strong tropical wave over the southeastern Caribbean Sea continues to move westward. According to the National Meteorological Center, the wave is producing showers and thunderstorms and has the potential to develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm over the next couple of days. As the disturbance moves towards the central Caribbean, unstable weather conditions are expected to spread over Jamaica's territorial waters within the next 36 to 48 hours. This afternoon, you can expect isolated showers and thunderstorms, mainly across hilly inland areas and northern parishes. Partly cloudy conditions will occur elsewhere. Fishers on the Keys and banks are advised to evacuate immediately and start returning to the mainland. Other small craft operators in our coastal waters are advised to return to port, and small craft operators who are in port are advised not to venture out. The Meteorological Service continues to monitor the progress of this system, and all interests are encouraged to pay special attention to further releases. The Spanish Town Hospital has received a major boost following donation of 3 dialysis machines. The Transport Authority, in partnership with the National Health Fund, recently handed over 3 brand new dialysis machines to the institution, which were acquired at a cost of nearly $13 million. Minister of Transport and Mining, Audley Shaw, says the machines will help the hospital to better serve patients who suffer from kidney failure, allowing them to carry on active lives.
Operators in the public transport sector are particularly prone, as we were told, to illnesses such as these and other comorbidities as they spend much of their days seated behind the wheel, driving from one place to another. It would be preferred that not one of our operators would have use for these machines, but this is a reality. I therefore remind our public transport operators to take care of themselves so they can continue to take care of their families.
In her comments, State Minister in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn, says that the donation is welcome, particularly as the hospital prepares to undergo major rehabilitation.
For renal care here, the facility's wait list which dates back to 2018, is comprised of some 291 patients who are currently waiting here for the space of the hemodialysis service. And so on average between August 2021 and 2022, the unit was able to conduct over 4,000 dialysis sessions.
Chief Executive Officer of the hospital, Jacqueline Ellis, expressed gratitude on behalf of the staff.
With these additional machines, the hemodialysis unit will be able to conduct more sessions, perform more emergency hemodialysis function. That will drastically reduce the number of patients on the waiting list and to receive life-saving treatment.
The 70-year-old institution has also received 10 refurbished hemodialysis machines valued at over $28 million from Florida-based entity Renal Dynamics. The new machines will prove life-changing in the treatment of patients with kidney disease. A national grooming policy will soon be available. There were concerns recently about the dress code at several high schools. The matter was addressed by a minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for information, Robert Morgan, at Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing.
There's an established process based on the regulations that the government has to respect. And the minister, in her articulation of the matter, basically said that we have to respect the process of the school. The school is in charge of discipline and managing the plant. The other point, and I think this is the important point, is because of exactly these sort of issues where we're currently in public consultations on a national grooming policy. When I was Minister of State there, we ran through a whole process of determining what is appropriate grooming, because we realized that we cannot continue having these sorts of conflicts and miscommunications and misunderstanding, which really distract from the purpose of school. The purpose of school is not about your hair or your shoes or your clothes. Your purpose of school is your education.
The Jamaica Defense Force JDF will be conducting training exercises in and around the communities of Port Antonio, Berrydale, Fellowship, and breastwork in the parish of Portland over the period Wednesday, September 21, 2022 to Friday, September 23, 2022. The training will include the use of pyrotechnics, smoke grenades, and explosives. The JDF is advising residents that there is no need to be alarmed by the presence of the soldiers during this exercise. However, every effort must be made to secure livestock during this period. Residents are also asked not to interfere with and/or move caution signs or flags. In the event that unexploded ordnances or paraphernalia are found, they are asking that you report it to the JDF headquarters at telephone number 876-926-81219. That's 876-926-81219. In the business report, gas prices are up and diesel prices are down. Danita Rodney is at the business desk.
Motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the price of gasoline and a decrease in the price of diesel effective Thursday, September 22. With both grades of gasoline up by 25 cents, 87-octane gasoline will sell for $197.66 per liter and 90-octane gasoline for $201.64. Down by $4.50, automotive diesel will sell for $224.76 per liter and ultra-low sulfur diesel for $231.75 per liter. Continuing with a $4.50 decrease, kerosene will sell for $210.37 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will sell for $65.18 per liter, down by 93 cents, and butane liquid petroleum for $71.96 per liter after a decrease of $1.17. Remember, marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markups to these prices. Investment banker Kalanda Hutchinson has joined investment firm Sterling Asset Management as an executive consultant. A press release from Sterling Asset Management says Hutchinson will work alongside the company's leadership team to launch an investment banking business line which helps companies optimize their financing solutions and achieve their strategic goals. Sterling's president and CEO, Charles Ross, commented on the move and what it means for the company going forward.
We're happy to have Calanda join us at Sterling. For the past 20 years, we have focused on generating wealth for the individual and institutional investor. Many of those investors have candidly shared the problems they're facing in their business or corporate worlds. In that context, we're expanding our service offering to include solutions that can help businesses achieve the objectives of their owners and management.
For your market updates, in foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, September 21, the US dollar sold for an average of $152.84. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.51. The pound sterling traded for $171.20, and the euro sold for an average of $153.30. In GSE trading, the GSE index advanced by 2,095 points. The junior market index declined by 64 points. The combined market index advanced by 1,373 points, and the all Jamaican composite index declined by 299 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 98 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 49 declined, and 14 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Verbal Preference, Caribbean Cement Company Limited, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and CAC 2000 9.5% Cumulative Redeemable Preference Shares. The overall volume leaders were Wigton Windfarm Limited Ordinary Shares with over 3 million units, Jamaican Teas Limited with over 2 million units, and Foswich Company Limited with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the volume leader with over 6,000 shares, followed by Calypso Macro Index Fund with over 1,000 shares being traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, 0 securities were traded. In regional business, an agreement has been signed by the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited, NEDCO, and the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, which may reshape the business and agricultural landscape in Trinidad and Tobago. More in this report.
Youth Development Minister Foster Cummings says the agreement could bring forward several new and welcomed opportunities to the country.
As the ADB comes with a mandate to encourage and foster the development of agriculture, NEDCO focuses on establishing an entrepreneurial culture that encourages wealth creation and national development, so that bringing the goals and resources of the ADB and NEDCO in alignment will boost agro-entrepreneurship in Trinidad and Tobago.
Deputy Chairman of the ADB, Randall Mohammed, hopes the initiative will push more young people into the business of agriculture.
I urge all of our young people who are looking for new business opportunities to take advantage of this very exciting initiative, which would also work towards reducing our country's food import dependency.
In market data for oil prices rose as the prospect of high Chinese demand and heightened geopolitical risk outweighed recession fears. Brent crude futures were up 70 cents to $90.53, while West Texas Intermediate crude was up 71 cents at $83.65. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news in the Bahamas, Acting Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper says more can be done when it comes to shark attacks on the island. He insists that there has to be more training for tour operators.
This comes after the September 6th fatal shark attack that took the life of tourist Caroline De Placido, a 58-year-old mother of 3. It has prompted renewed discussions about how tour operators manage shark safety practices.
We have engaged the stakeholders in the tour industries to ensure that proper protocols are in place. There are certain basic common sense things that can be done.
Cooper echoed sentiments shared by dive expert Andre Musgrove, who stressed the importance of avoiding recently or frequently chummed waters that sharks may link to feedings.
I think there has to be more training, more ongoing dialogue with tour operators to ensure, for example, we're not feeding at the time that people are swimming.
In Trinidad and Tobago, after 2.5 years, the Ministry of Health has discontinued its weekly COVID-19 media briefings. With decreasing virus figures, Health Minister Terence Dialysis says the ministry is comfortable that there is no immediate threat to the healthcare system. Sunil Lala reports.
So today marks the end of our regularly scheduled press conferences at TTT.
Health Minister Terence Dialysis says health officials have been tracking the progress of COVID-19, especially since the lifting of the mask mandate. He says although there was a slight increase in cases following the decision, case numbers have both peaked and decreased significantly since then.
And then, as expected, by the 10th of August, it went up to 265. On the 17th of August, 280, where it peaked in this current period. As of today, our rolling 7-day average is 130.
The positivity rate in particular has also decreased from 39% on August 17th to just 21.7%, along with ICU and hospital occupancy. The rolling average for deaths remain at 3, but Mr. Dialysis says it continues to be mostly elderly unvaccinated persons. Despite this, he believes the ministry is now in a good position to stop the weekly updates.
When we look at all these figures, and we feel fairly comfortable that there is no immediate threat to the healthcare system.
He believes the ministry can now place a little more effort in other areas.
We want to move on to dealing with a lot of other issues like our blood donation drive, our NCDs, mental health, and so on. So we need to reprioritize and refocus.
Mr. Dialysis says if the need arises, the Ministry of Health will hold a media conference, but will be done at the headquarters in Port of Spain. Sonolala, TTT News.
And the Ministry of Health says its daily COVID-19 clinical update will now be shared on a weekly basis on Tuesdays only. And an elderly male is this country's latest COVID-19 victim. The Ministry of Health said he had multiple comorbidities. His death takes Trinidad and Tobago's death toll for the virus to 4,195. There are also 117 new cases of the virus. This reflects samples taken during the period 19th and 20th September and takes active cases to 4,188.
In Guyana, fishermen are being urged to consider alternative means of income within other sectors to boost their livelihoods when they are not plying their trade at sea.
Emphasizing the importance of keeping up with countrywide developments, Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo has urged fishermen to consider alternative means of income. The Vice President made the suggestion while speaking at the distribution of the fishermen's one-off $150,000 cash grants at Luzignan.
We got to change. Our country will change too. And if we stick with one thing, then the people who are going to make the most progress are those who are willing to change. The government is helping people to do that too, making it simpler to start small business. Like you could start small businesses. You got to explore that sort of help with us because that's what we're there for, to assist people to grow, to make a transition, to upgrade themselves, to improve their lives. But if you don't take this step and you complain, sit down on the seaside or the corner shop and only complain, things will pass by you. Development will pass by.
The Vice President acknowledged that fishermen go out to sea periodically and not every trip is successful. On an added note, he reminded that the government has several training courses, some of which are free of cost. He highlighted that some programs cater to persons who might not have pursued higher education than the secondary level. It was further noted that there are many existing vacancies in several sectors, including the oil and gas, hospitality, private sector, and housing.
You can continue with the fishing. I'm not saying stop any fishing also, but you have other things you can fall back to. And it is not very hard to go in and get trained on these things. But with the oil and gas industry, if you're a certified welder, you can earn maybe $2,500 US a month. So that is a lot of people have to start looking at trading. We have a shortage of carpenters now. Carpenters can earn maybe, a good carpenter, $10,000 a day they ask for, $10,000, $12,000 a day. We have shortage of electricians, plumbers, everything, because there's a building boom.
Dr. Jagdeo made the suggestion as he reminded that the $150,000 cash grants to assist fishermen who are affected by low catches is part of the assistance the government is rendering. He reminded that the government is here to help citizens. Thus far, fisherfolk in regions 3, 4, and 6 have received their monies.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew is appealing for patience in the transition process as his administration is positioning itself to implement its governance policy.
Dr. Drew, in an exclusive interview with SK Newsline Tuesday, said his government has given political appointees of the previous administration enough time to resign from their positions to give his government a chance to appoint people who will carry out their policies.
With respect to our transition, it has been smooth. We have come in, we have treated people with respect and dignity, even those who are politically appointed. They know that they are politically appointed. And they have been given the dignified space to make the honorable decision. They know that they have been politically appointed and they should resign their position. We are now in the process where we have given people opportunity and space. When we got into office, we went to government headquarters. Unlike them who went into people's offices, ransacked offices, people had on hard hats as if this was some sort of rogue country, banana republic. That is not how you transition a government. We were determined, and I want to thank the supporters of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and those who voted for us, who came out in their large numbers, for not violating the sanctity of the government headquarters. They respected it, respected those who were there, and respected the offices. And that is the type of paradigm shift that I wanted our administration at this time to put forward.
The Prime Minister said while he understands the concerns of some people, especially supporters of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, who believe some individuals should be removed from government service, he believes everyone must be treated fairly and with decency.
As we now have seen, you say after a month, people would have been given that chance to resign, to put their things in order and so forth. And so we are at the point where for those who have not, we will have to kindly ask them that they resign. And I have started that already. For example, actions were taken with respect, our administration, with respect to National Bank. It will be taken to Development Bank, Social Security.
And that would include the board as well?
The board as well, because they know, the board as well. So that we can start in earnest to entrench the government, the administration, so that we can start moving the country forward. Because people voted for a particular type of governance.
In international news, New York's Attorney General Letitia James has announced a major lawsuit against former U.S. President Donald Trump and his company. AG James is alleging business fraud involving some of Trump Organization's most valuable assets. Al Jazeera has the story.
Former President Donald Trump has always been keen to put the focus on the many buildings he owns, but now he's being accused of fraudulently misrepresenting the value of those buildings. And this is the subject of a civil court case announced Wednesday by the New York Attorney General. The allegation, professional assessors would decide how much the buildings were worth, but when the Trumps went to get loans or insurance policies, they dramatically inflated the amount in order to pay less interest and get cheaper premiums.
This conduct cannot be brushed aside and dismissed as some sort of good faith mistake. The statements of financial condition were greatly exaggerated, grossly inflated, objectively false, and therefore fraudulent and illegal.
Some examples: his club in Florida, Mar-a-Lago, the likely worth was $75 million, but the Trumps alleged it was worth $739 million. 40 Wall Street in Manhattan, likely worth $220 million, but they put the value at $527 million. And Trump Park Avenue, likely worth $84.5 million, alleged worth $135.9 million.
Claiming you have money that you do not have does not amount to the art of the deal. It's the art of the steal.
Trump responded to the allegations on his social media site, calling the Attorney General racist and accusing her of doing this to win an election, writing, "I never thought this case would be brought until I saw her really bad poll numbers. She is a fraud who campaigned on a Get Trump platform." But experts warn these kinds of white-collar cases can be hard to win.
You have to show that there's intent, the specific intent to defraud, and the lack of emails. If there isn't somebody who will testify against President Trump and say that he had the intent to defraud, that will be something that he can certainly use in his defense.
This is a civil case, but the Attorney General has referred her findings to jurisdictions that can bring criminal charges and the Internal Revenue Service. She's asking a judge to ban the defendants from being able to work as an officer for any New York companies for life, ban them from buying commercial real estate or work with New York banks for 5 years. And she wants the Trumps to pay $250 million. Last month, Trump had a chance to defend the practice. He pleaded the fifth so as not to incriminate himself hundreds of times. Now his lawyers will make the case for a trial that could have huge repercussions for the Trumps and their businesses.
In sports, Olympic 4x100 meters gold medalist Brianna Williams will join Titans International Track Club in Kingston. The 20-year-old Williams, who was born in the USA, will now be coached by Gregory Little and Michael Frater. This after being under the care of mentor and coach Otto Bolden for 10 years in the USA. Trinidadian Bolden, a former 200 meters world champion and four-time Olympic medalist, further says, quote, "This is the next chapter in her development, and I'll continue to advise and guide her as I have since she was 10, end quote. Under the guidance of Bolden, the Jamaican ran a world under-15 age group 100-meter record of 11.13 seconds in 2018. That same year, she won 3 gold medals, 100 meters, 200 meters, and 4x100 meters in the under-17 category at the Carifta Games and was named winner of the coveted Austin Seeley Award. In other sporting news, the Eastern Football Association conducted a full slate of matches as league competition continued on the weekend. TTT Sport was at Phase 2 in La Horquetta, where the home squad hosted one of the association's new teams.
Oropoon FC came up against La Horquetta XF in the EFA, with the home team having a very familiar star-studded lineup. But it was Oropoon who threatened first, Jeremiah Rodriguez just missing the target. La Horquetta Rangers, that is La Horquetta XF, soon settled and went ahead with a quality move, which involved Atula Guerra and finished by Kadeem Corbin in the 6th minute. It was Guerra again causing problems in the 19th. This time, it was finished by Isaiah Lee. Things were looking easy for Dave Commoner's team. Ross Russell Jr. banging one past goalkeeper Kellen Agard in the 24th to make it 3-0. Oropoon FC, to their credit, buckled down defensively after that and then pulled one back on the stroke of half-time as La Horquetta fooled around at the back. Darius Douglas, the scorer. 3-1 at the break. On the resumption, Lee got his second of the match as he stormed into the area unchallenged. With an assist from Ross Russell, Mark Thomas took a similar route to make it 5-1 in the 55th minute. Thomas then returned the assist to Russell Jr. in the 72nd. Despite the score, there was action at the other end. Goalkeeper Jabari Saint-Hilaire getting a bit ambitious and was punished as Ronaldo Estick graciously lets Malachi Borrell finish it off, 6-2. But on the kickoff, Kadeem Corbin did this for his second on the night from the center circle, 7-2. Oropoon did not leave it there though. Borrell returning the favor to Estick, who finishes well. Corbin did try to have the last say in the match, but this time the keeper was right back on his line. 7-3 in favor of La Horquetta over Oropoon, the final score. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sport.
And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks for watching.